President Morthland, so are you on the committee that was where Representative Rita's bill wasn't called
That's correct.
on
I
the
am.
school consolidation?
Yes, I am on counties and townships.
Okay, and so why wasn't it called today?
Well, it wasn't called, I think, because of overwhelming pressure. It's an interesting thought to be able to consolidate and perhaps reduce the overhead costs of school districts. And there are a whole lot of people who look at administration costs, and we think we should address that perhaps in the long term. But this bill was so difficultly crafted, and it basically describe it whichever way you want. Perhaps it was the thermonuclear approach or the Jack the Ripper approach, but basically to give school districts, give counties 60 days to dissolve every district within a county, establish a new county school district, and then perhaps reestablish the old school districts at the whim of the new county school district, just was something that is not going to work procedurally, and it's not going to be good for our schools.
Was it the language in the bill, or was it the fact that it would force this upon school districts?
Both, because what we're looking at is a forced consolidation coming out of Springfield, and that's very much against local control of school districts, and also the language that would have allowed for this very aggressive procedure that is inappropriate and doesn't allow proper time for consideration and deliberation. And there are school districts in our area that are thinking of consolidating, or may have tried to resist consolidation, or may have alternatives to a forced large consolidation. Nobody's saying that we shouldn't look for savings at the administrative level. It's just how do we go about it, and this bill was way too aggressive in its approach.
So which school districts have you heard from so far, like superintendents and school board members in your district?
I've heard from superintendents and school board members across the state, literally everywhere in the state, because I am on the committee that was hearing this before it would go to the floor. Ironically, last night when I got on my last committee, I came back here to the office to turn off the lights for the evening. The phone was still ringing. I picked it up, and it just so happened to be the superintendent from the school district where I live, 5 miles from my own home. Of all the school districts and all the superintendents in the state who had been contacting us, are all the school board members, or all the parents and other concerned citizens. It just happened to be my own school superintendent who was calling, and we had a nice chat.
And so what did he say? What was his concern?
His concern was pretty much what everyone else's concern was. This is a bad bill, and it's not a bad conversation to have, but let's have the conversation and not just have Springfield with a very, very heavy hand come down and just crush this entire system of school districts across the state and give a couple of months to reassemble it through a system that currently doesn't exist.
So do you see any school districts in your district that possibly could consolidate?
I think consolidation is a possibility moving forward, but let's begin that conversation locally. Let's be able to let it progress organically. Let's investigate it and be deliberative about the process if it's something that the citizens want, if it's something that our communities want, because ultimately they're the ones who are paying the bill. Let's also remember that the preponderance of what we use to pay for school in Illinois comes out of local property taxes. It doesn't come out of state funds. And yes, there is a relationship between the state and local school districts, but mostly they're funded locally, so most of the control should stay locally.